Hello, great people. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu seems to have landed in another trouble with the US government. In fact, it is safe to assert right now that Bola Ahmed Tinubu now has two major issues with the government of the United States. One you are aware of is a popular issue. The second one is a growing issue that you are perhaps not aware of, but I will break it down for you. The first one is the order that was given by the US court that the case file, the investigation file of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as regards his alleged drug dealings when he was a resident in the United States should be released. The court ordered the FBI, the CEA, the DEA, and all relevant agencies in the US to release the investigation files of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The second one is that of the persecution in northern Nigeria. Some clerics approached the United States government that Christians are being persecuted in northern Nigeria, and the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu seems not to be doing anything significant to save their lives and property. So when they approached the US government, now two clerics, Bishop Wilfred Anagbe and Reverend Father Remigius Ihyula, led that particular debate before the US Congress. They appear before the US Congress and state their demands. They narrated all what happened. Then the US government now ordered the government of President Donald Trump to impose crippling sanctions on Nigeria for the alleged persecution of Christians in Nigeria. So when the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu got aware of that, by the way, this thing had happened like maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, maybe they are focusing on something else. They didn't react at that point in time. Now the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reacted. They have denied the allegation of Christian persecution in Nigeria, but then the problem now is that the clerics now reported back to the US government that please save us. The government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is witch-hunting us, is humiliating us, is harassing us, and now the US government have responded that, hey, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, should anything happen to these clerics as a result of their testimony before the US Congress, then you will be in trouble. Rather than for you to be harassing these clerics, rather than for you to be intolerant of the opposition, do the job for you for which you are elected of, which is to protect the life and property. The US government is saying that if you have protected life and property, these clerics will not come to us for help. And now the US government is now taking the issue very seriously. And in a moment, I'll read you the statement that was issued by the US mission in Nigeria as posted on their X page, formerly Twitter, which you can verify by yourself. And also in a moment, I will be playing you a short video, a like 15 seconds video of what got the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu specifically angry. It was when the Bishop Wilfred Anagbe appeared before the US Congress. You know, when you appear before the US Congress, it's like appearing before the US Senate. They would ask, okay, what is your prayer? What do you want? The man requested that Nigeria should be labeled a country of particular concern. What does that mean? What is the implication of that? We'll be looking at this and at some associated issues on this episode of Politin. But first, let us watch the short clip. Then we'll come back for some great discussion. Let's watch it.
I request and I plead and ask you to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. This has both a practical and diplomatic meaning to signal that you are paying attention to what happens to us.
There you have it. You just watch a short clip of the Bishop Wilfred Anagbe when he appeared before the US Congress, and you heard him in that particular clip where he said that the US should label Nigeria a country of particular concern. Now, what does that mean? When the US label Nigeria a country of particular concern, it shows that the US will be very careful in its relation with Nigeria. The US will be very careful on how they deal with Nigeria because they will deem that the Nigerian government is acting contrary to their values and beliefs. You know that a government, I've told you before, is like a human being. Just like human beings try to stay away from people that they share different beliefs, for people that they don't believe in. So more so, countries we also kind of like try to stay away when you see that the way you are acting, the way you are doing your things is contradictory to their own beliefs. So if the US labeled Nigeria a country of particular concern, it will have political implication, it will have international implication, it will have economic implication for Nigeria. So at this point in time, Nigerian government cannot really cope with that, especially when the president is having some issues as regards drug dealing in the United States. Now, what are the other issues in this? First, what I can say is that there seem to be, I think the people in the presidency need some reorientation on how to act in a presidential manner. I think they need some reorientation in the sense that the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is always resistant to criticisms. When you call them for something that, oh, do this, they will not do it. When you now criticize them for that which they have failed to do, then they will come after you. So what are you supposed to do? Are you not supposed to go after what people are complaining about and bring succumb to people as a government? So if you look at the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they are always resistant to criticism. And there's one pattern that I noticed, which is that they love to deny the obvious. For instance, the Borno state government said that Boko Haram is gaining ground. The government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in the person of the information minister and attacked the governor of Borno state that, oh, it is a lie. The governor, despite being an APC governor, have to blast the minister of information that Mechonu there, which I think the Igbos call the Igbo word for shut up, that you don't know what you are saying. We are the ones on ground. Now, another example for you to show that the government is resistant to criticisms and they deny the obvious without taking concrete action in addressing the issues, which is what pushed the Reverend Father to the US government, is that of Idris Abdulkarim. See, all what Idris Abdulkarim said in his new song, Tell Your Papa, which one is false in all what he said? Which one has government tried to address after Idris has released that particular song? And I will give you a third one, which is that of the copper girl, Uche Ugwamaye. When that copper lady said Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a terrible president in terms of economic hardship, inflation, cost of goods and services, after that girl made that complaint, apart from the 77,000 naira that is being paid COP member, that is being paid COPS member for the release of other goodies to Nigeria, what have been done? Nothing have been done except that the core members are now being paid 77,000, which the government have promised before then. So if you look at it very well, the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu seem to not be doing things right, but then when you now complain, they will now be intimidating you. And that is what happened to the clerics when they went to the US government, because if it is in the history of human nature, human being will rather protest and react than to die. If you look at human nature, rather than for human beings to die, to just give up and die, they would rather make effort to stay alive. And one of the effort is the action of those religious clerics. And if you look at it, are the clerics, are they lying as regards Christian persecution in Nigeria? You see, if you are staying in the city, you will know that such things exist. But I will encourage you to please do one thing. Go online, right? Just type Christian persecution in Nigeria. You can search on YouTube as well. You will see the videos of people that have been displaced in the north, particularly Christian communities. And these things seem to be common to Christian community. Just take a little time to do the research and you will see the video. And the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu has apparently not been doing much in that regard. So if you look at the history of historical persecution and hopelessness that these people have faced, particularly in Plateau State, in Benue State, the crisis in Plateau State have always been happening. Government have been unable to do anything. The crisis in Benue State have always been happening. Government have been unable to do anything. Some of these crises, they will target farmer elders clashes. Whether it is farmer elders clashes, whether it is religious persecution, it is the job of government to make sure that they do everything to curb insecurity. But then again, the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu has not been doing much. And just recently, I heard it in the news before making this video that fresh 40 people have just been killed in Plateau State again by the murderous Fulani herdsmen. So you can now imagine. And let us look at something. Can we blame those religious leaders, Bishop Wilfred Anagbe and the Reverend Father Remigius Ihyula? Can we blame them in the sense that, let us look at the hypocrisy of the APC government. The APC government ran abroad for help when they were unsure of fairness. Now, this APC government, when they were yet to form a government, they ran abroad. They ran to the Obama government, the United States government at that point in time. And also, you may have heard that the APC government, the stakeholders in the APC government, particularly those of the Fulani ethnic stock, allegedly approached bandits in the Sahel states, the Sahel region, and some of them allegedly import bandits into Nigeria. And you will know that before the advent of the Jonathan government, the word bandit wasn't rampant. It was during the Buhari government. And there have been assertions that it was when the Buhari government imported this bandit that they now found Nigeria as a fertile ground and they refused to go back to their country. So if you run abroad when you are unsure of fairness, as regards political fairness, and you want to protect yourself, you allegedly import bandits, you ran to the US government during the Obama era. Now that the Christian clerics are now running to the same US government, then you are now crying foul. So if you run to US government for political reason, why can't the pastors run to the same US government for protection and security reasons? So you will see that you can point out the hypocrisy of the Nigerian government in this regard. And one of the things that increased the suspicion is the Muslim ticket. You see, adequate representation really helps. If the Nigerian presidential ticket has not been a Muslim ticket, perhaps maybe the suspicion of the US would not be as high as it is now. But then when you have a Christian as a Muslim as president, a Muslim as vice president, then you have reduced the confidence of the US government, especially when they are complaining of Christian persecution and they are producing hardcore facts to that effect. So you see, what I can say is that, the prospering and comfortable people are the politicians, and that is one thing that should not be. If you are not a politician, you can hardly prosper and you can hardly feel safe. So we need to be very careful, and the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu should be careful with the US government, particularly this government of Donald Trump that has shown that it can do and undo. So I will encourage the Tinubu government to address the security issues in Nigeria, so much so that the US government will now see that things are being done, and to restore confidence in Nigerians so that they don't need to run to the US government. It's been an interesting time with you on this episode of Politin. Do want to subscribe, turn on your notification button, catch up with my past videos, and of course I have great interesting videos coming your way. Till I see you again, always remember that I love you all sincerely.